Morning, everybody. It's just a little after 7 right now, so still waking up. I know I look like it, but thought I'd do a video before I get my day started. We've been really busy, just trying to keep up with the business. The our store, Hats Around the World, the eBay store, gets sabotaged every single day. There's people. There's like 10 different things they do, from stealing items out of my house to just sending me these really complicated, nonsensical kind of messages. With my dog doesn't like it either. I don't know what's up with that. But just been trying to keep up with the store. Had some speed bumps along the way, and been really busy doing that. So it's been a couple weeks, I don't know, since I've done my last video, and a lot has transpired since then. I think the last video I did, my girlfriend had just gone back to Texas. She'd come out here to visit, and I wasn't really calling her my girlfriend yet. We were just trying to see each other, to see how we liked each other, and we hit it off, and she moved out here, and she's been here for a couple weeks, and that's been going good. We've been I mean, like somebody, it's interesting having our situations, but then just basically meeting somebody right away and then starting off a life together immediately. Like, we act like a married couple pretty much. We get up in the morning just to get the house picked up. She'll do dishes, get things cleaned up in the kitchen, make some food. I'll get started working, start working on photos, working on shipping, listing, whatever we have going on. Head out, run errands together, brainstorm, figure things out together, remind each other stuff. It's been really nice, been really helpful. Just having somebody to watch movies with, stuff like that. But we've been really putting a lot of work into this business, trying to get things caught back up and get financially in the right situation, so I can make it through this court case that I have. If they put me on probation, I heard that I have to pay for that. Along with whatever else comes up, just life, and life being targeted when your finances are constantly being attacked. So I've got a partner to help me with that now, and that's been nice. My court case is in a little bit more than a week here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'll be at the Maricopa County Courthouse. I believe the date is July 18th. I need to verify. Things changed the last second, but last I was told it was July 18th, Maricopa County Courthouse. And anybody that wants to show up there, and maybe even with a couple of picket signs or something like that, or I don't know, whatever you want to do, protest a targeted individual being harassed by the state, by the federal government via the state, that'd be helpful. Letters to the judge, whatever. Those of you that have listened to my story long enough can tell that I'm targeted, just like the people I listen to long enough. I can tell that they're targeted. Any kind of support would help. What are some of the things I can talk about that I haven't talked about over the last couple weeks. You know, Kathy and I have been driving around town, running our errands, just trying to live life, do our thing, and it's interesting seeing the targeting and how it changes when somebody's with you, and the things that both people will notice, or the things that, like one person will notice and not realize, and then the other person will say, hey, did you notice that one thing? And then click, oh, yep, you're right, that's what that was. And we'll also talk about instances, things that will happen where, I'm like, I really didn't feel like that situation had anything to do with, direct conversation or anything. It was just like an odd coincidence, and, those things happen, and, we go about our day. So it's been cool to have somebody that's what's the word? See, I blank out when if I didn't have this video camera on, be able to just talk this out, no problem. But as soon as I turn the video camera on, somebody that is can evaluate the situation and not think every single thing is for them. Not been sensitized to the point where, that is like a rational person. That's nice to have conversations with somebody that can go, yeah, that was nothing. Let's see, what have I been doing? Oh, I've been out and about. While I'm out, we'll hand out flyers if I see somebody's perping us, and it's obvious, like when I show up to a place of business, I'm getting ready to go in, guy walks up, hat, dark sunglasses, got a lanyard that says NYPD on it, and he's on his phone, standing there, staring at me, looking down at his phone, looking up at me. It's the obvious, overt part where they want you to know that they're watching him. So this guy was one of those individuals, and I'm just watching him. They don't stress me out or freak me out or anything. Like, I understand the program, and I understand why they're doing this now and how they do it. So I just go into activist mode. So I just went up to the guy. I said, hey man, you need to read this. I gave him 2 of the targeted justice flyers. I said, you need to read this. And he's like, I need to read this? I said, oh yeah, you specifically, you need to read this. I'm gonna run in here, take care of my business. It's a lot to explain, but you just need to read this. So I go in and do my thing, and I come out, and the guy goes, hey, I can't even remember what he asked me. He asked me something. Oh, no, this happens to you? I said, yeah, every single day. I'd explain it to you, but I really got it. I know that the guy knows what's going on. I'm not going to sit there and let him waste my time. So I went from that place to the next place that I had to go to. And I get there, and there's a guy sitting in the parking lot, and he's got some police like baseball hats in his front dash, and he's coming out at the same time I pull in. He gets in his car and he's sitting there. I'm like, well, I have these flyers. This one says attention police. This guy's probably off-duty PD or retired PD, something like that. So I grab a couple flyers. I go around. Actually, I just about made it into the front of the business, and I went, you know what? I'm gonna go back. Actually, I did make it in. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Those details don't matter. Made it in. I said, hold on, I'm gonna go give this guy some flyers. He's still sitting out there. I'm gonna go give this guy a couple flyers. And went over, did the, hey, roll your window thing. Rolled down his window. I said, hey man, I noticed you had some police type hats in your dash there, and thought that these flyers here would be good for you, good information for you to check out. Told him, hey, I'm a targeted individual. These are some of the things that I go through, and I'm just trying to bring some awareness. And he looks at me like wide-eyed, and was like, they got you too, huh? Or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said. But I go, what, you get messed with? by people? And he's like, yeah, I get all kinds of stuff. They targeted me after 9/11. I got helicopters that fly over my house. People follow me, all kinds of stuff. I went, and of course, there was just a guy at the store before with the NYPD lanyard on. This guy has his PD stuff. So a lot of this stuff happens in repetition when you're targeted. They just send you these little symbols in repetition to get your attention or send you some kind of message, have you sound crazy when you try to explain it. So I go, really? You're targeted? Are you a targeted individual? Have you researched targeted individuals? Do you know what that is? And he's like, yeah. I was the dispatcher on 9/11. I was calling out. Yeah, I was dispatching on 9/11, and he had family members that worked for NYPD, FDNY. Told me his dad was a real high up mafia member in Chicago. He had a really interesting story, but he somehow became a federal agent. This is the story he's telling me. I haven't researched it. He wrote a book. I took some photos of his book, and actually I posted it on Facebook if anybody's looked into that, read into that, if they've heard of this person or anything. So he's telling me this whole story, and I go, hey man, we should probably keep in touch. Would you be interested in doing any kind of interview, like on a show? And he's like, well, you could interview me. I'd do an interview. I was like, well, no, not necessarily me. Maybe like, somebody I know at a show. Can't see me here. Maybe a show that's already established. There's a couple talk show hosts that I know. Maybe you go on one of those. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe, I can't. I'm having a really tough time with my short-term memory right now. I'm really being affected by whatever the hell they're doing to me. I don't know if it's just the stress or if I'm getting some kind of synthetic telepathy blocked or blocking, whatever they call it. Where you just blank out when you're kind of on a roll, when you're explaining your story correctly. Anyway. So this guy had a really interesting story. He said he had become a federal police officer, dispatcher on 9/11. He was a whistleblower, and then he'd been targeted. And when he was in the military, he said he had a Q clearance, and that when somebody would start explaining this stuff, and they gave them a mental evaluation, called him crazy. He said they called that the bag and tag. Who knows? I haven't done any research into that. I haven't heard anybody else telling me anything like that. But, check that out later. What else has been going on? The gang stalking around town has been, the vehicular mobbing has been nonstop. They haven't let up since Kathy got here. Everywhere we go, there's and it's not always somebody just swerving at the vehicle, it's just somebody always there, and they're doing the one headlight out, one tail light out. They haven't been bright lighting. I haven't been getting any bright lighting. I was months ago a lot. They haven't been doing the bright lighting. The license plates for sure. Kathy and I will be having a conversation about something, and then somebody will pull in front of us with a license plate that has one, too many times to be a coincidence. It's got the license plate thing. The swerving in my lane has been ridiculous. We were getting on the freeway. We went to go pay the rent, and we decided to drive over there and just send the check. We're coming back. We get on the 17, and I won't even say what kind of truck it was. It was a soft drink truck that just swerved right into our lane, about ran me into the wall, and scared Kathy, and then that just goes on and on the freeway, and then just in regular traffic. And I know people drive shitty. Some people can't drive, but this is perfectly timed. Like they'll be driving perfect down the lane. I'll be watching them in my mirror. They're driving right down the center, and then all of a sudden they get close to me, swerve close to my truck. So I don't move. I don't move anymore. If they want to swerve into my lane and hit me, then go ahead. It's being recorded. So that's been going on. We go to the grocery store. There's definitely perps following us around the grocery store. They've got their phones out, looking at you, giving you extra attention that you don't. Nobody gets that much attention. What else been going on? I do believe the house was entered while we were gone. Since Kathy's been here, had some stuff moved around in my inventory that shouldn't have been moved around. Lots of little things, and I've got somebody here that's seeing all the exact same things, and a lot of it's subtle, a lot of it's right there in your face. I mean, we've both got to experience the directed conversation together. Like, oh, here's one. I was talking about backpacking. I was talking about going to Yosemite. I was talking about the people that would fly into Fresno Yosemite International Airport, and how all the tourists would come in and visit Yosemite. So I was talking about both of those things. Kathy and I were both talking about that. Talking about backpacking, camping. We go into the store to run an errand. We're in there, and this guy just comes up, stands next to us, and he starts doing like calisthenics, like stretching his back. And he's got a Yosemite shirt on, I think. Oh God, I can't remember. But he's got his bandana on, like a lot of backpackers wear and stuff. And he just starts saying with, "Man, I sure love backpacking. I just went to Yosemite not too long ago and did 50 miles and did some camping. It was great. It was great. You'd like to do that?" Something. He caught me off guard. I was trying to fill up water bottles. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I love backpacking." He's like, "Well, that's good. Maybe we could hook up sometime. Maybe we get together. We go do some backpacking." And I'm like, I talk to people randomly. I just talk to everybody. But that one was so obvious. And the guy was a bad actor too. He was just like looking at me like, how's he gonna react? How's he gonna react? You've seen bad movies, like B movies where the people can't act, and you're just like, geez, how is this? I can't do it, but I'd expect somebody that's gonna try to fulfill that job would be a better actor, unless you're just meaning to freak you out because the guy's so weird. So anyway, we made it through that thing, laughed at it, and actually we laugh about that every once in a while now. That guy, there's been a few of them that are just so ridiculous that we just got like jokes about him now. Like we went into Einstein's Bagels, standing there in line, and we're having a conversation between us, and this lady literally like is leaning over, like you see that Michael Jackson video where everybody like leans over and then leans back up? That lady almost looked like she was doing that. She was leaning over so far, and she had her head turned and her ear like aimed right at us, like it was like they told a 4-year-old to go listen to what those people were saying over there. And so if that wasn't intentional just to make us feel uneasy, that lady's the worst at her job ever. So we got nicknames for her. She's Ear Hustler. Actually, I got another nickname for a guy I won't even say because it is really shitty, but the guy deserves it. I was on Ella Free recently. If there's anybody that watches my videos that doesn't know who Ella Free is, she's a talk show host that does they call it talk shoe. Ella Free. She interviews a bunch of different people that are targeted, that are, like whistleblowers, stuff like that. William Binney, Kirk Wiebe, been on there. Richard Lighthouse. I think Karen Melton Stewart's been on there. A lot of interesting people, a lot of valid people that are educated, that are rational, that have, real history in this targeting, whistleblowing arena. And I was pretty surprised that I was invited to be on there. I couldn't believe it. So I did the best I could. I talked about a lot of my long-term trauma-based mind control type stuff, and really didn't get into a lot of the details of the targeting that happens here at my house. But I've gone through so much of that in my videos that I think if somebody watched the Ella Free show, they'd get kind of a basic idea of how some of this started, possibly. The multi-layer targeting, double dose. Like anybody ever seen the movie Idiocracy? I'm getting a double dose of targeting. Check that movie out if you don't think that's happening right now. So yeah, check that show out. That just tells a small part of what I've gone through, minus a million details. It goes on and on every day for years and years and years. So it's basically you have to write several novels to even, for people to even start to comprehend what has gone on. All right, I really need to get back to work. I wanted to just do some kind of video to let everybody know I'm okay for the most part. I'm still got this psyop going on me, and it really does affect your psyche. No matter how tough you are, no matter how much you know what's going on, understand the targeting. My nose is itching, sorry. How much you understand all this, it's still tough to get through. It's like, it's like you realize you've been sent to war, you've been drafted, and you're not there to fight for freedom, you're there to steal opium or oil or something that you were told otherwise. And like, okay, I gotta get through this and get back home. I guess I just kind of think of this like that. So hopefully a lot of this stuff will work out. These 40,000 plus sealed indictments that are supposedly going out, I just pray every day that those are for the people that are responsible for the abuse of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and targeting innocent Americans for profit and to grow the government budget, the deep state government budget. That's what this is about. I know there can be a spiritual aspect to it, and there most likely is, but as far as down here right now, I think the goal of this whole thing is to get Rod Rosenstein, however you say his name, to release the information that the congressional, that Congress is trying to get him to release, those memos, unredacted, find the targeting program within those memos, find the people responsible for allowing the targeting program to take place, and then use all of that information and all those non-disclosures that were signed by those people, all of the national security letters that were signed by those people. Those should be on file somewhere. They should be on record. They should be opened up, and those files prove that those people are in direct violation of the Constitution. That's the can of worms. That's the can of whoop ass we need to open. Figuring out all of the technology and everything is awesome, and the people that can figure out all of that, it's amazing how smart some of you are. But if we know how all of it works, but we can't stop the funding that's allowing it to happen, it's just going to keep going on. So we need to cut the head of the snake off, basically. Get those memos open, go through the FISA court records, see who is put on the domestic terrorist watch list, for what reasons, let the targeted individuals see their dossiers, respond to what's been said about them, what's been spread about them, and give them some real FBI agents, real government agents, even if they need a new acronym. It's the Anti-Corruption League or something like that, and they sit down with you and they go through your entire history and figure out how you've been targeted, and go after the people that have done this. Hey, it's an idea. That's all I have is ideas. Wow, man, we're going code 3 everywhere. You hear that? Must be some huge issue going on right now. Like me making this video. I'm just gonna keep it going. I miss doing that. I have to admit, going code 3 is pretty fun. You get a call, someone needs help, run out, jump in the truck, go. I mean, you get your bunker gear on first, depending on what the call is. In my case, if it was an airport call, put our potato suit on, just out on the runway, out on the fly line. Put our proximity gear, call it our potato suit, because we look like a tinfoil potato. If there was a structure fire, we put on our structural gear. We kept them right next to each other. You hop in, you turn the lights and sirens on, jam, everybody gets out of your way, get to where you're going, help somebody out. It's an awesome feeling. I could not imagine being such a low life to just go run code 3 down the street by a person because your boss told you to, and you don't have an actual emergency to go to. And as a firefighter, you have to be smart to be hired as a firefighter. That causing a distraction unnecessarily can cause another accident. And you just go ahead and go along with it, and you're like, man, this is going to cause an accident. It's almost like you guys are trying to cause accidents so you have job security, so there's enough chaos for you to play the hero. And that's not heroic at all. Being a firefighter is long periods of boredom interrupted by short bursts of chaos. Don't be out trying to create the chaos. You might as well be like the guys that, there's no proof any of this, but, well, yeah, actually in some cases there were proof that certain fire chiefs, battalion chiefs, union representatives for fire organizations have gone and started forest fires to get the guys work and stuff like that. And that's insane. That's psychopathic. It's not how things work. Well, it is sometimes because they do it, but that's not how things should work. That's basically how this seems, Police, fire, EMS, civilian ground patrol out just on the road unnecessarily, wasting gas, causing commotion, creating issues that, it's like, it's almost like The Office, where the employees don't have enough work to do, so they start creating all this office drama. Make it exciting. It's not exciting enough. We got to make it exciting. We got to make ourselves seen, you know, that kind of thing. Nah, don't do that. Let's progress. Put our energies and our efforts into something else other than, you know, causing all this chaos. People need to stop this and understand it's not productive. Nobody's benefiting from targeting. I mean, you people are that are being paid under these government contracts, but in the long run, you're getting fooled. You're getting fooled, and the people that are completely responsible for it up at the top probably can get away with it, and all of you are going to be screwed. Just think about it. Research more of this. Research FISA. Checking out the airplanes. Now see, the airplanes fly over my house. That is completely normal. I live by the Goodyear Airport. I intentionally move places where I'm in the flight path. This one I got lucky. I like the house. We just happen to be in the flight path over here. Or not the flight path, but the airplanes fly in this vicinity. And I can tell the normal air traffic. I said I'm going to go like 3 times here, but I can tell the normal air traffic. You know, I grew up near Edwards Air Force Base, right next to it. Dad was a crash fire rescue firefighter. I was always out at the base. My mom worked for the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. I was watching airplanes from the time I could walk. I was standing in the front yard watching all kinds of airplanes flying over. The SR-71 Blackbird would fly over at soccer practice when I was in like 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade. I've seen the space shuttle land. I love aviation and aircrafts, and I've always been looking up. I was a skycap at an airport for 5 years. After that, I was a crash fire rescue firefighter, literally working on the runway, living on the runway 2 days at a time, watching the airplanes, communicating with pilots, working with pilots, working with F-16 pilots, learned how to extract F-16 pilots out of aircrafts if they were incapacitated. And I've always been around aircrafts. It's how I noticed the chemtrail starting, because I've been looking my whole life, and all of a sudden, hey, chemtrail started. So that being said, I can tell normal air traffic. So these helicopters and airplanes that fly over the house are completely out of the ordinary, weird air traffic. You know, they're not supposed to fly that low. One of them flew so low a week and a half ago. I could have threw, let's see, I can grab any. I have these little bottles out here in my backyard, little glass bottles from like turn of the century. It felt like I could throw one of those up and hit that guy in the bottom of the plane. I mean, it was ridiculous. And they have a flight school over here, so maybe some flight student fucked up or something, but yeah, over and over and over and over again. And then the helicopter, when they come over, they'd switch the pitch of the blade. I don't know what they call it, the pitch, the whatever, where it just, it doesn't, it makes it way louder, and it causes like this airwave kind of percussion that shakes your house. You know, instead of just how they can normally fly over without shaking the shit out of your house. That's been going on quite a bit. And then definitely the Civil Air Patrol type FBI plane, you know, the Piper Cubs, the Cessnas with the old ones had like a big antenna and like this thing on the wing. I have photos, black and white photos of one of them that I think is one of the surveillance planes in my shipping room in here. But you can really tell that those, you're in a specific spot, and they just show up, and they're like circling around you, And I know it sounds ridiculous for somebody that doesn't understand how much money's being spent on this, or like, but the first thing you think is, well, who are you? Why would they have an FBI plane circling around you? What are you, some like crime boss? What are you, some international spy or something like that? But that's, I think, what they want people to think about you. Just some outlandish story that's so ridiculous that it's hard for people not to believe or something. I don't know. I'd really like to hear what's been said. Man, this video was all over the place. I'm tired. Forgive me. I just needed to make a video. I hadn't done one in a while. Try to update everybody the best I can. Oh, and I knew I'd do this. I knew I'd think of something else. There are so many people contacting me right now, and I am so busy that I can hardly even contact the people that I was already talking to and having conversations with, and like trying to set things up and do podcasts. I've been so busy trying to keep the business afloat and go through I'm going through this court thing, and I'm trying to get all my research done and be ready. I mean, I'm not fighting in a trial, most likely, but I still need to be prepared. And there's just a lot of other stuff going on. One thing I can't even really say anything about right now. And I've been busy, and I've been, you know what? I've also been taking a little bit of time for myself, spending some time with my girlfriend. I mean, come on. Say you had been single for a year, you realized you were targeted, you were single for a year. Hadn't dated. Well, I went on like 2 dates. One of them, actually, they were both perps. The second one, I'm not 100% sure, but she wasn't somebody I'd hook up with. It. Anyway, one for sure was a perp. And then I have an opportunity to meet somebody that's a TI, that's pretty, and is willing to come see me, and then come move here with me. I don't think anybody out there can say that they wouldn't just take a little bit of time to spend with the person that just did that. So I've been definitely spending some personal time too. That being said, I'm going to get back to work. We have a long day ahead of us, and we got to get through a lot this week before I go to court. July 18th, Maricopa County. Wish me luck. Hope they don't throw me in jail for a couple months that day. But I'd like to bring awareness to this whole thing. I mean, come on, people. I told an officer that I was going to keep investigating what happened to me as a child. I swore I'd never stop. 3 weeks later, I'm in the back of a cop car. You know, they waited. They didn't do it the same day like they did with Tommy Robinson. He goes out there. I don't know if you haven't seen look up Tommy Robinson if you haven't looked it up. He was arrested for filming for being a journalist at out in front of a court building where there was supposedly a Muslim pedophile child grooming sex ring something, and he was just being a journalist, and they arrested him and they threw him in jail for 13 months immediately that same day. These guys basically, with me, I did this video, I uploaded it, and then they waited 3 weeks. They didn't just come get me right away. They were smarter than that. They knew that I would probably sue them or something. Or I don't, if I can't even have that right anymore. So they waited 3 weeks and then found a clever way to set me up. So, I mean, I would like for people to put put some information out about this happening to me. You know, people should be in an uproar about people being persecuted for talking about child abuse. What, what world do we live in where that happens? Everybody's just like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, gotta stop that. Look up Tommy Robinson. Look what the people in the UK did for him. There's 20,000 people out in front of on the streets, uh, chasing down cops that were covering for these pedophile pieces of shit. I'm not saying to start any riots. Do what you want. I could use some help. I'm backed into a corner and I can't do this anymore. I've spent all my money. $40,000. Attorney, psychological evaluator. They wouldn't listen to anything I had to say. They talked me into using that. I'm, I'm, I'm in a bad position. I mean, I definitely could use some help. Oh, speaking of, um, you know, I'm not just doing this for money, and I'm not asking for any donations or anything like that. I'm just trying to make enough money to make it through this. So uh, if you want to go to our hat store and find something, if you want to contribute to my court fees, that's a good way to do it. Just buy something through my store. If you type in hats around the world with no spaces, Google, or just put hats around the world space eBay and hit Google, you know, search, Google search. It'll come up. You can go to our store and anything in there. Uh, that's my business, you know. That's it's plain and simple. That's how I make my money. And if you're gonna buy stuff like that and you support me and what I'm going through, if you just want to buy something through there for a birthday present for somebody or Christmas present or you know whatever event you have going on that requires a present, there's plenty of stuff in there that around $20 or so, you know, not too expensive. That'd be really helpful. Not selling vitamins or supplements or anything. uh, can't can't support that, but this is what I got going. Actually, and I have to. I promise I'm going this time. I have to go in and I have to go take photos. So everybody else has stuff to list here today. So I have to go. Missed you all. Sorry for the choppy, all over the place video and random information, but it's the best I could do for this morning. Have a great day.